and stars they wept, the morning sun was dead, the Savior of the world was fallen, his body on the cross, his blood poured out for us, the weight of every curse upon him. Final breath he gave, as heaven looked away, the Son of God was laid in darkness, a battle in the grave, the war on death was waged, the power of hell forever broken. The ground began to shake, the stone was rolled away, his perfect love could not be overcome. Now death, where is your sting? Our resurrected King has rendered you defeated. Forever he is glorified, forever he is lifted high, forever he is risen, he is alive, he is alive. The ground began to shake, the stone was rolled away, his perfect love could not be overcome. Now death, where is your sting? Our resurrected King has rendered you defeated. Forever he is glorified, forever he is lifted high, forever he is risen, he is alive, he is alive.
We sing hallelujah, we sing hallelujah, the Lamb has overcome. We sing hallelujah, we sing hallelujah, we sing hallelujah, the Lamb has overcome. We sing hallelujah, we sing hallelujah, we sing hallelujah, the Lamb has overcome. We sing hallelujah, we sing hallelujah, we sing hallelujah. Forever he is glorified, forever he is lifted high, forever he is risen, he is alive, he is alive.
All right, welcome Divine Ones, welcome, welcome, welcome. As you can see, I'm using my avatar here again because it seemed to help last time in regards to the latency and internet connection. So I'm going to give it a shot here again. As I joke, you guys are not missing much out on seeing my beautiful face here. Trust me, you're not missing much out. Before we get going here, I'll bring in Dr. Tinner here in just a second. He's there in the waiting room. That's so funny. Anyways, I want to give a shout out to those that are in here. Angelina, Oriana, Barberi, Angel Baby, thank you for being here. CJ Jean, thank you for being here. JEL, thank you for being here. Roxana, thank you for being here as well. Kevin, thank you for being here. Betty Shoop, thank you, dear, for being here. Rachel Kyle, thank you. Judy Sabin, thank you. Margaret Tompkins, thank you, dear, for being here. I'll also give a shout out to Roxana's sister, Kathy V. Thank you for watching us, Kathy. We appreciate you being here as well. Kim, thank you, dear. Thank you for being here. Michelle, thank you for being here. Linda C., thank you for being here. So, tonight's going to be part 2. All right. And I know I went pretty dang deep with you guys last time. And tonight will be deep as well. But what I thought I would do first, before we dive deep back into this, I shared something yesterday or the day before on my main wall over there at the Sovereign Redneck Renegade Telegram. I have people always asking me, well, how do we know if we're going to ascend? How do we know if we're going to make this ascension? How do I know if I'm good enough to ascend? Things like that all the time, right? Because still people have this programming that's stuck in their heads about good, bad, heaven, hell, all these type of concepts, right? And it gets confusing. Everybody ascends. Everybody ascends. It just depends on their participation in that great ascension harvest, all right? It's not a doctrine or theory like the rapture. That's not how this works out, guys. So this question drives people insane. It used to drive me insane too, up till, 6-7 years ago, when I really started understanding what it means to do that work within. I've had several dark nights of the soul periods, if you will. That is like a must for any person who is truly sincerely seeking to go through ascension. We must have that dark night of a soul. Okay. Let's see here. Let's see. I'm just reading some of the comments here. All right. So we guys have to look at like our existence right now. It's kind of like a video game. We're always told in this community, those that are anons, those that identify as light workers, so forth, that we're living in like a movie, right? But it's more like a video game. And it's a video game, and I use that as a metaphor because it's everywhere, right? Kids are using video games left and right. Adults are hooked to playing video games left and right. It's their out, I guess. Not mine, but for a lot of people, they're into that. But it's like a video game that we engineered, we designed it. And we made everything inside, that video game. You guys got to remember, you are a member of the infinite, eternal, prime creator, who is the only sentient mind in existence. Okay? That mind is made up of like 1 trillion, if not even way more than 1 trillion, synapses that are firing when they have a thought. So every time you have a thought or manifest a thought, it's a synopsis. You're triggering a synopsis that's firing. And each thought creates reality. just like it does in your guys' minds. So when you guys think about some of your favorite things, some people love to be at the beach. Some people love to be up in the mountains. Some people love to be in the cities. And suddenly your mind sees that. And your screen, if you will, is your pineal gland. Which is why you can actually tell that scene's directly in the middle of your brain. It's not in the back, it's not in the front, it's not in the side of your brain. It's actually in the middle. And if you guys close your eyes, you can test this out. All right? You see, each synopsis has their own self-awareness. Each synopsis has their own self-awareness. Besides being part of a larger collective, each self-awareness has their own unique personalities. Again, some personalities, they love to be up, in the mountains. Some like the ocean. Some like to be sailing on the oceans. Things of that nature. These are places that you gravitate to because that's how you think. Hopefully that makes some sense for you guys. All right. So once the collective of the infinite eternal prime creator designed time matrices, this happened like eons and eons and eons and eons ago, right? That were, like extremely advanced holographic video games. These synopsises dedicate a small portion of their own attentions to this game. See, this game works across 15 levels, which is what we call dimensions. We have 15 dimensions in our own time matrix of this matrix. And each level has like different eras, going all the way back to like the Bronze Age, to the Golden Age. Well, we're in the Golden Age. The Bronze Age, the Iron Age, the Ice Age, even to today's advanced stages. So each era has different levels. And what you guys don't know, some of you knew, but most of you probably don't know, that you began your own personal game with 1,728 avatars down on the playing field, spread all across all these eras, across all these different dimensions. And you play all of them at the same time. Your synopsis and your self-awareness knows all these things, down to, what we call subquantums of manifestation. There's nothing, I tell you guys, there's nothing you don't know. And as your synopsis is this quantum entangled to every single other synopsis of the infinite eternal prime creator. So we know everything that the prime creator knows. It's encoded in us. It's encoded. Remember I talked about our DNA? It's not just a physical coding. It's coded in our souls. So from the very beginning of the concept of our soul, we're encoded with this depth of knowledge. All right. So I'll get back to that in a little bit, but I need to jump back over here into the grand experiment. You guys remember the grand experiment, right? We were basically finished up to the point where the beast, what the beast was, right? The grand experiment, what this great epic was all about. The beginning of last, Saturday, in that lesson, I broke down how the humankind seed came about and how the mankind seed came about. All came from Eve. The humankind seed came forth from what we call the Adam project, if you will. The mankind seed came from one of the fallen angelics who impregnated Eve. Okay? So, and there was this grand experiment that took place. And that grand experiment was this group of fallen angelics who became known as the beast. That's how we have to refer to them, because they are a collective. So the beast of these fallen angels, they've been enjoying their ability to use what we call hyperdimensional creative manifesting abilities, which means they're able to create in thought, because they're not able to have the ability to create like we can. That's one of the reasons why this group of angelics does not like us as humans. Hopefully that makes sense. So they know that this is like our last chance not to be purged. That all has to do with us being the remnant, right? If we're aligned with God, with God's source, in the light of God's source, we are known and called as the remnant. And there's this purging that's taking place, right? You know, religion calls it the tribulation rapture period, but it's not. It's an ascension. It's an ascension harvest that is happening. And ascension takes place all the time. It happens to take place every, I think it's 26,500 years, or the opportunity for ascension. The difference is this time period, during this ascension harvest, we as humans here on this planet, we get to ascend with the new planet as the planet ascends back to its rightful place of fourth, fifth, and sixth dimensions. We get to ascend with that planet, or we get the option to be able to do that. That's never been done before. And this is why we're being watched so closely throughout the cosmos. They want to see if we succeed, and we have help. We have help from who we call the Guardian Alliance, who are here helping us. So in order to not ultimately and completely be purged, the satanic spirit of all these Anunnaki beings, they had to agree to this grand experiment so that they could reintegrate back into humanity. And they do this by piggybacking off of us humans. All right? So evil people who sometimes are, I guess, innocent because their souls are actually trapped. And so this beast, this satanic soul group known as the beast, basically agreed to this plan, guys. But remember, Satan doesn't trust God, right? Satan is still reeling from being rejected and banned by his own creator, and that is the God of the Old Testament. So when I'm referencing God, I'm referencing two different God sources. I'm referencing God source, the infinite prime creator of all creation, and then I'm referencing the God of the Old Testament that we're dealing with. Okay? So this satanic group, soul group, these fallen angels, who are known as the beast, they're upset because they've been rejected. They've been banned by their creator. And so it really, mixed up Satan, if you will. And the souls of many of these reptilian beings, there's a lot of eager soul energy and the spirit of pure and innocent souls who've been trapped in service of Satan. This all comes to frequency, guys. Has everything to do with frequency. And let's face it, it's not simply, in Satan's nature to let go and let God. That's just the way it is. So Satan, Satan's been doing what Satan does, right? Satan's been trying to, be the driver in this grand experiment. And of course, he doesn't even want us to know that he's, cheating. He knows he's not supposed to be the driver, right? But he's going to try anyways and hope that no one notices. But that's just, how this satanic group operates. And you guys have to know that this satanic group that's been here for at minimum 20,000 years, if not longer, this has happened in other planets throughout the cosmos, which that's a whole nother series that I want to break down for you guys, going back to how far back this actually goes, all right, into the other universes and how it came into our universe here in the Nebadon universe. So the beast's powers, again, come from these fallen angelic collective. And it's a perversion of the descending masculine agenda that I talked about last time, right? It's not the divine masculine at all, which is the aim of the restoration through the light of Christ. You see, the primary anomaly is this perversion of the masculine. And it takes the power of spirit descending into matter with grand designs and these intentions with these angelic powers. And it uses it for its very own destructive ends. You see, the beast, this fallen angelic collective, has to steal innocent spirit energy and then trap it into these dense forms, because that's how it's learned to survive, right? Because once again, it was denied everlasting life by the God of the Old Testament. Matter that should be fluid, like pure feminine energy that glides as it ascends back to God's source, is actually hijacked in service of this destructive masculine satanic group that tries to block its path back to God's source. God's source is light. So a huge, huge part of the grand experiment is genetic manipulation. And this is where we're going to be going. This is why I'm breaking this down for you guys, because of the revelation that I received a few years ago that Tenner talks about oftentimes, the mankind versus humankind DNA of why these shots, or vaccines, boosters were all created during the time period. You know, today I find it really interesting, guys. So I put an interview with Dr. Artis. And Dr. Brian Artis, if you guys don't know, he's an amazing whistleblower. And he was breaking down, there's 9 different vaccines for the flu. They all have different ingredients in them, except there are several compounds or ingredients that's in all 9 of the variants itself. And he said one of the main ingredients that's in the flu vaccine, doesn't matter which 9 you take, is cortisone steroids. Hydrocortisone, actually, is what he said. Hydrocortisone steroids is one of the main ingredients in all 9 of the flu variants. And he explains why. It has to do with when you're given children from the age 6 months up. The flu shot, these flu vaccines, it affects their spines. It deforms their spines as a side effect. He also said that another ingredient that's in all of these vaccines, the flu vaccines, is a canine vaccine that comes from Cocker Spaniels, specifically cells from the kidneys of Cocker Spaniels. So they put these cells of the kidneys of Cocker Spaniels in these vaccines, these flu vaccines, because it makes your cells weakened so that it can receive other chemicals that are included, so it weakens your cells. That's why they do it. So again, here we have genetic manipulation, right? It's been going on for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. So the God of the Old Testament, he condoned this genetic, manipulation, actually hybridization. As I said, it's been going on for many, many eons. And, our military guys, our U.S. military knows this because they take part in it. We now know after the fact that the U.S. military was instrumental in not only the whole COVID thing, but also the vaccines and the boosters itself.
Hey.
Well, good evening, Dr. Tenner, SMD.
How are you, sir?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm just sitting here being mesmerized from your knowledge there, tapped right in, man. It's just, it's funny when you hear something new, for me anyway, I just know like that it's the truth. It's amazing. Like you just hear a new piece of information, you know that you're hearing the absolute truth. Like when you leave the B system and you're not swirling around Telegram and all of these Rumble channels anymore, which I don't do. Like I didn't read anything on Telegram or anything today. I was just living my life, looking at footage, for the new Christmas song and everything. And I could care less what's going on because I know the truth. I know what's coming. I'm in such peace. I'm tapped into source. And it absolutely just changed my life. And I've been doing that slowly along the way. That's why I tell people they should keep an eye on me, because I'm not just talking about these things. I think God wanted me to be like, like what are those commercials where, with the hair, I'm not just the owner of the company. I'm a client, like I'm restoring my hair. Yeah, whatever, right? So I'm restoring my life. So the people with the eyes and the ears to see it, and hopefully they're saying, man, I want someone what Tenner's got. Like everything that he dreamt about in his whole life came back. But I wanted to touch on something you were talking about. It's so mind-blowing when you're talking about like the video game. I was having a conversation with someone the other day, and it just made sense to me, and mostly probably from the shows with you giving the information and when we talk offline, that we literally decided to come back here for this time. And if you could think of it just in a fun, simple way, we were sitting wherever we were, when we went back to source, and we were all whatever at the table when it was your time. And it's like, okay, and you're sitting in front of, probably like the screen the size of the side of the building, and you're picking your character, your avatar for this generation, for this time. It's the last and final time. And okay, do you want to be okay, going to do this? And what do you want? And maybe your 30s. Do you want to like go bankrupt? Do you want to go into business, the restaurant business? Do you want to do this? Do you want to get married? Do you want to get divorced? Like, and we picked, I want it really effed up over here. This is where I want to have the worst time in my life. This is where I want to lose my mother. This is where I want to lose. And we actually picked and created this whole life. It just makes sense. So, and we just have to understand that and just go with the flow and turn everything off and just go into source. And when you're talking about thinking about things and daydreaming and your thoughts, it's all there. And I believe it's already been created. So like this might be confusing. When I thought I manifested my dog, like that dog was coming into my life, but I had to, like, I got opened up and I learned how to bring that moment. So your video game could go in different directions, I believe, depending, you know what I'm saying? But by you going at this very critical time, because we're at the end, and does that make sense? Like we're it was already written, like you put your video game. So now's your time that you can actually shift the video game. It doesn't matter what you picked, like whatever, a billion years ago for this time. Again, we're at the 1700 and whatever. It just makes sense. It's the last one, because reincarnation is done. It's we're not going to be in this loop anymore. We're moving on to beautiful shit whenever this ends. But you have the opportunity to right now, mentally in your mind, to go into the settings in the video game. Like I'll talk, Donkey Kong was one of my favorite. Let's talk about Pac-Man, right? So you're going to go in, you have the choice right now. You're going to start a new game of Pac-Man. It's you're the yellow guy eating the shit, and you're going to pick your skill level. Do you want to pick skill level 5, the most complicated one? Or do you want to go down and pick skill level 1, where you blow through and there's no complications and you could play the game forever and there are 0 challenges? Because I think I reset that. I'm probably on less than level 1. I don't even have to hold the joystick anymore. The yellow fucker's just going and he's gobbling everything, because I'm gobbling everything I want and I run my life and it's all coming. Makes sense? Oh boy, I love it. I've just got chills.
Love it, brother. I love it. Well, you're spot on, man. And that's the thing. That's why I had to break it down for people. We start this game, and we get to select. We get to select every aspect of our realities, good, bad, indifferent, traumas, good times, bad times, down to animals. Animals can be part of our soul groups. Animals are oftentimes soul companions that are with us throughout different incarnations as well. And they may have been other.
My dog is without a doubt. I've had pets. I've had, African gray Congo parrot, extremely smart. I've had dogs, cats. And the connection with this dog, like the love, like I know without a doubt that there's a soul of some sort in this dog that I was connected to without a doubt, because we are connected. It's almost telepathy. Like she knows when I decide in my mind. I don't make a noise. I've been testing this. I stand by the door. She's in the bedroom chilling, And you know, your dog, you make a noise. They know the noise if you're grabbing the key or if you grab the jacket. They know, they're so smart. I just stand there and I don't touch anything because I tested this out. And once I put in my mind that I'm going to run to the store, again, I'm standing there totally quiet by my book, and I do it for hours on day. I stand at the counter. I don't sit. I just stand and do my thing. And once I lock in my mind, okay, I'm going to go to the store, but I'm going to leave Babby home. Once I lock in mentally, she is blowing out of the bedroom like when she knows if I grab the keys when I'm leaving, she blows out. So this is what happens when you connect. This is the type of thing that's going on. So that I'm soul connected to that dog without a doubt. We are connected. We know each other before this lifetime, without a doubt.
Absolutely, brother. Absolutely. Yeah.
And I wanted to say, just for when you were talking about the shots, you know, with all the stuff in there, people, the simplest things are so hard to figure out. The only medication in the history of the world that you get for free, think about that, are the flu shots and the Jabberwocky for the last couple of years. Think about that. Why don't they can give you that for free? And these are complicated. I mean, these are flu vaccines and they're going to prevent you from getting sick. They give that to you for free. Think about that. Like when you have sheepnesia, severe and dangerous sheepnesia, you can't figure that out. That's why Dr. Tenner is here. We're just trying to help. The flu shots are free and the Jabberwocky is free. And everything after that, you know, booster 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, as long as you'll stay in Sheepnesiaville, it's free because it's feeding into everything else that's making you sick. And I haven't had that. I haven't had any of that stuff. Flu shots, I don't even remember, decades. Never. That's why.
I've never had one. Well, except no, that's not true. I've had to have forced vaccines in one point in time. But
when we were kids, I got whatever, you know, back then. Back then, though, decades ago, they didn't give you. It was probably just a couple. I believe it's like measles, mumps, rubella. There was just a couple, less than 5. Now, think about that. Now the kids get. There's at least a dozen. I don't know how many they get within the first, you know, before they leave the hospital. I mean, it's 10, 12, and people can't figure this out. And then all of these rates of all of this stuff is going up, and people just think it's natural evolution. I mean, that's what
autism being the primary one. Yeah, I was at a health insurance appointment yesterday, talking to my new health provider, and he was telling me, you know, that just in the last year or two, he has clients that have used his life insurance, health insurance. He, you know, does all kinds of insurances. And now he literally on these certificates of death to collect on the death certificates now. He said they're now putting official cause of death due to the vaccines because they can't even deny it anymore. They can no longer deny that the vaccines and the boosters are contributing or much less causing the actual death of individuals. They can't cover it up. They can't try and, you know, conceal it. And he said it's very interesting to see what's happening in the last couple of years.
What's interesting about things that you were touching on, the humankind, you know, versus mankind, I don't think you got that deep yet, but some of these people had to because they're of that the wrong one, and it was turned around for good, right? Originally, all of these things were to take out the divine species, but it got turned around, and a lot of the people that are dropping like flies had to go because they're of that nasty one over there, you know. So there's a lot to learn, and it's just breathtaking. Oh, and by the way, there was a couple of people I think were saying that reset, they couldn't hear you. I've heard you perfectly through the whole thing, so whoever is having problems hearing him or he's breaking up, it's on their end because you're crystal clear over here.
Thanks, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
All right, so let's move on here, guys. So the grand experiment, it's just genetic manipulation, which we're just touching upon, right? So again, I know this is a hard thing to wrap your guys' head around, that the God of the Old Testament condoned these experiments, but God did of the Old Testament, all right? And that's why, you know, I showed you guys last Saturday that even in the Bible, Genesis chapter 6, verses 5 and 6, it says right there, God, Lord, repented twice for allowing it to happen, for allowing it to go on. You know, that's very compelling. Okay. You know, most humans, just so you guys know, and this is something that's not very well discussed in what we call the truther or patriot communities. It's the fact that there's these truths of the secret space program, and that most, if not, most all humans we are some type of hybrids, guys. We are combinations of Lyrians and Pleiadians. When you start studying the cosmological history of the human species, where we come from, where the angels come from, where the Elohim come from, all these different things factor in, and we're all connected to that. There's a reason why, I forgot to tell you guys last time, there's another reason why the fallen angels, Tanner, they're pissed off at us, is because we have a 12-strand DNA construct encoded in our soul. They only have an 11-strand. They don't have 12 strands. All right? They don't have 12 strands like we do. And so they're not able to create the way you and I can create. They have to create through the manifestation of thought itself. They don't have the creative powers that we were given by God. That's another reason why, they decided, well, let's go ahead and just alter God's greatest creation, the human species here. So there you go. But again, some of us are Lyrians, some of us are Pleiadians, Arcturians, Syrians, Venetians. We are. Some of us are multiple ones. It depends on how many lifetimes we've experienced, right? And these reptilians, if you were, they were pretty much rejected. They were left out, and they came to Earth to fight their claim here. All right. So the God of the Old Testament, heard them, right? So the God of the Old Testament, as I said last time, had to make amends, because God's source said, this needs to be taken care of here. So the God of the Old Testament made amends, but he allowed this genetic hybridization to continue. This, as I said before, included who we would call the Anunnaki Draco reptilians. Reptilian DNA was necessary for this grand experiment, because that DNA codes for both the body and the souls. And the genetic experiments and the hybridizations that were condoned by God, right? Just as, hybrid humans were condoned by God. Pretty fascinating. So it said, yeah, go ahead, bro.
No. I got, when you were talking and early on, there were like a joke came to mind. I just figured I'd throw it in. So we have to be light with this, guys. This isn't intense. Like, God won.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're here listening, actually, if you're here with ML and I, you're probably in good shape, because God is putting the people, compartmentalizing the people that are going to wake up sooner than the others. Like, everyone's going to be okay. You fall into one of the soul groups, and any of them aren't bad, because you get a chance to do this again. There's eternal life, so there's really nothing to worry about, because you can't do anything about what has already been predestined, so to speak. But you can, I think, but I mean, it's at the end, you have the chance. If you're not going fully inside, you have this chance, but there's no bad ending here, right, ML, for anyone? So in any way, I had this joke that was laid on me, and I believe if it came to mind, then I've already apologized to God and Eve and Adam. So does anyone used to watch Andrew Dice Clay? Anyone old enough?
Oh yeah.
He was one of my favorites. He was just lunatic. So I revised it. So Adam and Eve went up the hill, each with $1.25. Eve came down with $2.50. That effing whore. Anyway, God, he has a great sense of humor, so he laid that on me. I just wanted to maybe get a little laugh out of everybody before you.
Well, here's one for you too. So I'm going to lay one on you. So in the insurance agent's office yesterday, his assistant, we were talking about biblical stuff, and I was blowing their minds there. And she said, "Hey, if you were to dig up Eve's grave how would you know that Eve was buried in that particular grave and not another woman? I said, wow. I said, that's a very compelling question. She goes, so how would you be able to tell that you're digging up Eve's grave versus another woman's grave? I said, well, let's think about this. If it was Eve, there would have to be some kind of indicator that would show that, she was different than any other woman, right? She goes, right. And I said, well, what if she didn't have a belly button? And she looked at the guy, the broker, the insurance agent broker that owns the place, and they were laughing at each other because it was right. She's like, how did you know that? I said, well, I've heard this before. She goes, well, that would make sense, right? If you were digging up Eve's grave, she wouldn't have a belly button, because if she's the mother of all living, that means she wasn't conceived naturally like everybody else thereafter her, right? So there would be no belly button there. I said, yeah, that would make absolute sense if you
Makes sense.
found that.
Came first, the chicken or the egg?
There you go. So there's some trivia for you that you could lay on somebody. Love it.
Oh, man.
So these genetic experiments were condoned, right? And so we have these hybrid humans that were also condoned. And again, it said a lot of individuals in worker communities that have done really amazing research, even like Dolores Cannon is one, Ashana Dean is another one that comes to mind, that humans, we come from, 12 races, and these Anunnaki reptilians were basically the 13th race. And that would be kind of like one explanation about, these secret elites, right, who are descended from the Anunnaki, because, they are what we would call the unlucky 13 because of, who they are, where they come from, their satanic soul group itself. But that satanic soul group is not just embodied here on Earth, right? They actually came from the Orion arm of the Milky Way galaxy and in other galaxies even previous to that. So this beast has taken on, as I've said, different forms. Suffice it to say that they've actually been reptilians here in form itself.
ML.
And I'm going to explain to you guys here in just a little bit. Yeah.
It came to me before. I think when I was in Dallas, I think I heard from Negative 48 something about, because you touched on this, about a deal that was made between the two gods or whatever, that was, I believe it was 1,000-year deal. So we like had to just keep going through everything, and the end of that deal, because you talk about that deal, I believe it was 1,000-year deal, and that's why we had to allow we'll call it the madness, the B system, and you can see that we're at the end, and then everyone's heard, I'm sure, 1,000 years of peace. So we're in that transition right now, and we have to be so close because everything is, you could just feel it, and things are like, my life is changing rapidly. So it's such a blessing. So we can't be very far off. Again, we don't want to do dates. We can't be very far off. And while I'm just on that, I'm going to let you go. I'll close my screen for a little bit so people can focus on the pulsating avatar that you created 1 billion years ago to be here today to talk to us. Friday is 11/22, which is basically 11/11.
Yep.
And again, we're not doing dates, but 61 years ago, they shot JFK. And I just hope some kind of little Scooby snack comes our way before the day ends Friday. Are you feeling a little something before you move on for Friday?
Yeah, quite possibly. Quite possibly.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to close my avatar because, I feel beautiful, so I must look beautiful because I'm ascending, and I don't want to distract people from your beautiful avatar. So I'm going to be sitting here listening. I'll jump back in every now and again if I feel I have to interrupt you and say something, but go on, brother.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you. Okay, so here on Earth, again, the grand experiment was to make amends to the beast, the satanic soul group collective of the fallen angelics, right? And Satan and, their Orion reptilians, they have basically been trying to have some very inappropriate control over this, continued, condoned genetic hybridization of us humans. As they're let back, as they're let back in, they still fear judgment and destruction by God's wrath, of course, because they don't trust God, of course. And of course, Baal, however you want to pronounce, is still pissed off because, he's not ready to go away just yet. So this DNA is, as I've said, just not the blueprint, for our bodies, but our souls too. Most people don't even know that they have a hard enough time accepting the fact that they have a 12-strand DNA construct, leastwise in this time matrix, but it also they have one in their soul, right? So your non-coding DNA is what these Zionist scientists call junk DNA, right? But God, source, doesn't make junk, anything. So it actually codes, again, our entire soul, which also is our entire spiritual histories through all of our past lifetimes. And you can access all of those records in the Akashic Records itself. Also, I want to encourage you guys, there's an amazing book called the Urantia book, and I know other people have mentioned it. That is an amazing book because the Urantia book is what I would call the Bible of the cosmos, all right? It completes a lot of what has been omitted on purpose from the Bible that we have right now and gives greater clarity, greater enhanced context about God, us, where we come from, why we're here, all these different amazing lighted truths. So when these reptilians came here in human bodies, okay, they don't even know consciously, guys, that they're actually reptilians. And this was information that, and a contact that I have with the Alliance, Galactic Alliance, Guardian Alliance, whatever you want to call them, they shared this with me a few years ago because I was asking about this. And they actually told me that these reptilians, they come to our planet, they came here in waves over thousands of year periods, right? And when they first came here, their first entry was in a reptilian body. They came here via jump rooms, and jump rooms are what are utilized to go from one Stargate to another Stargate or portal, all right? So they came here via these jump rooms through these various portals of these subterranean bases scattered, throughout our planet. And then later incarnations, when they die in that incarnation, they reincarnate again as a human being. So they're still a reptilian, but they've incarnated as a human body. And then they've taken many of those incarnations, after that in human bodies. They just forgot, like everybody else has that has gone through that themselves, of the mankind genetic makeup. They just don't know consciously that they're reptilians, guys. So these Jehovian, Anunnaki reptilians, especially these great white Dracos, they're these entities, and they're at the very top. They're at the very top of the global power pyramid. And that's why it's so fascinating. Carrie Cassidy is one of the few people that I know that talks about this, has talked about this, but there are lots of individuals, I call them the gatekeepers in this community, that won't touch it, won't talk about it, because it opens up a whole bunch of other questions that they don't want to talk about and answer about. They want to keep people programmed into religious dogma and programming, And so they need people whose spiritual DNA that includes these reptilian past lives, as this makes them more favorable for hosting their satanic spirits. But these reptilian souls, they're not necessarily evil, right? They have been trapped. So they need these people with this certain DNA profile in order to keep the grand experiment hijacked. They need people whose spiritual DNA includes reptilian past lives, so that they can actually continue to host these reptilian spirits, right? The reptilian spirit that's hosted, it's not necessarily evil or even satanic. It's just preferred because it has lived as these reptilians before. And so it has these stored memories as such. This is why we see these glitches. We call them glitches. And I've seen lots of these videos. I've posted them on my walls over the years of like world leaders, right? We've seen the glitching of world leaders, of celebrities, music artists and stuff like that who are on camera. And then they, then you start seeing their reptilian essence come through, because they start glitching out. They can't keep their human avatar intact. So it's pretty dang amazing. Pretty dang amazing. Okay? So again, they need these people who have these spiritual, or DNA, reptilian past lives to keep the satanic thing going. All these various reptilian races, they lived and they learned these draconian cultures, which are left brain, all right? They're left brain. And the right brains basically were stunted, where sadism was honored and where hierarchy was actually unbreachable. That's where you get this militaristic mindset of this group, this left brain dominant group. So these life histories, right, they make them very favorable for hosting these satanics. In essence, it's a perversion of these descending masculine agenda into these destructive forces. And again, as I said last Saturday, the only antidote to this is the divine feminine ascending agenda, guys. And this is why this grand experiment, this great experiment that's going on, it's to keep us from ascending. That's the whole point behind what they're trying to do to us. This is, again, why these elites and these secret societies follow bloodlines so carefully, right? They do so with these knowledge. They did it with these methods that they gained through their connections to non-humans, whether they were subterranean or, what we'll call extraterrestrial. Angels are extraterrestrials because they're not from here. Many of us are extraterrestrials. We're not terrestrials because we're not from here. That's just the way it is. And yeah, did you have something?
No. Oh, what? We're in the middle of a show. It's important? Okay. Oh. Wow. Thank you. We were just talking about that, I think, weren't we? So, that kind of makes sense, huh? Whew, I got every hair on my body is standing up, isn't it? How about you guys?
Well, let's go down that path real quick. Yeah, let's go down that path. So, all right, it's really simple. So the mankind is the recessive gene versus the humankind, all right? The reason why it's a recessive gene is because it was conceived, with the fallen angelic. That's what made it recessive from the very beginning, because Cain was a son of perdition from the time of conception. That's why God rejected Cain's offering, because God could not accept Cain's offering, no matter how bad might have wanted to do that. God couldn't do that. So Cain was rejected. There's many amazing ancient manuscripts. There's books that I've read that talks about the description of Cain when Cain was born. And I'm talking about the books before the Bible that talked about the description that when Cain was born, Cain had serpent-like features. That comes from, the recordings of Eve and those people in that ancient day, that Cain had serpent-like features covered in hair, whereas Abel was a normal baby. Pretty interesting. So again, that's where it came from. The mankind is a recessive gene pool. And so the Jabrowski's boosters were created, and were created in the hopes that they would be able to eliminate a good larger portion of the humankind DNA genome, because they already know that the weaker recessive mankind genome would fall prey to it. They were the low-lying fruit. What they didn't know was those that had the majority of the humankind DNA genome in them had the ability to fight against the boosters in the jab, and not be as affected by it, and would be able to heal from it and overcome from it as well. They weren't counting on that. Of
I
course,
believe
the white
that
hats, they knew this.
I believe it might even go deeper. Is that the evil uh, actually, created the whole scenario to eliminate us, the divine bloodline, and it was
Hmm.
turned around and it was used against them. So if they were of of Abel, uh the Jabberwocky, when people are wondering, people just drop and write dead on TV and stuff like that, they were probably, if you drop dead, eventually when we find out, they were the not so good ones, and they had to go. That's what warp speed was. That's what Operation Warp Speed was. Just for anyone. So now
Hmm.
you heard it. So there you go. You're very welcome.
There you go.
Pretty awesome, isn't it? Woo, woo. This is some
Yeah.
biblical shit going on over here. Are you ready? You came to the right effing place.
Uh,
Okay, take it away, ML.
all right. We'll do it, brother. Thank you. Appreciate that. Um, so, again, these satanic groups, they follow bloodlines very, very carefully. And they've got it dialed in. They've got it dialed in. They've had, 20,000 plus years in epic time period. An epic time period is between 20 to 250,000 years. So they've had a very long time to refine this ability. And what they're after is being in control of what kind of spirit and how much of the satanic spirit a person is inclined to host. Did you get that? What they are after is the ability to control how much of the satanic spirit a person is inclined to host. Okay, that's where the genetic manipulation comes in at. The hidden rulers among the elites have, for centuries old connections to these non-humans, again, these Anunnaki reptilians, who together, they still plan to claim the earth for themselves, guys. This is why they hate, and this is why they fear us, free thinking, free willed humans, right? Who are capable of ascension. And this really is the root of the whole transhumanism agenda, is to prevent ascension. These hidden rulers, guys, non-humans and the most powerful humans at these highest levels within these Zionist cabal organizations are well into their transhumanistic agendas on earth. And the purpose of this agenda is to create this ascension-proof, conscious, resistant people, basically zombies, if that's what you want to call them, but they pretty much are. They won't have the ability to grow spiritually enough to even recognize the evil that's happening in that leadership. That's why it's called cults. You see, these people being created by the beast range from these DNA manipulated humans to cloned humans, right? We've seen them, to even manufactured humanoids. The elite, they do this, right? Because again, they're fearful of us free-willed people, of us real humans who are capable of sending more than anything in this whole multiverse. That's what they're fearful of, because it's all about control. So it's about control. So I guess what humans have to fear is this balance between the brain's hemispheres, right? Which leads to this whole new level of manifesting abilities, which I've talked about extensively for almost the last 4 years, which leads to the restoration of humankind's 12-stranded DNA, our silica-based perfected bodies in which we are originally created. I've tried to help you guys understand. There's a law called the law of eternal progression. It has everything to do with the concept or the conception of your soul. You must descend to ascend. All Christed beings did that. And we are reminiscent. Our 12-strand DNA construct is constructed after Christ, after the angelic Christed beings. These New World Order Draco-reptilian elites are gut-wrenching terrified of us humans, guys, with ascension symptoms, like activating our kundalini, right? As it pretends the end of their calm, or, well, it's actually not ending their calm. It's ending their ability on our planet. And religious organizations call it Judgment Day, but it's not like that. That's the whole thing, There's so much here that we have to pick apart. And this is going to take other shows for us to even dive down and pick this apart of the programming that's been put in place to keep you dumbed down so you guys don't understand your potential. This is why these elites desperately want left brain dominant, obedient people to be in these positions of power in these societies, guys. The challenging and disturbing conclusion is that these Khazarian Ashkenazi Jews are these kind of people. They are these people. And they have this DNA that the satanic elites prefer because they're able to control them. They're only like one example. There are actually many others here on Earth of these type of groups in Central and South America. There's even people over in the Orient. There are clans of Orients that have these DNA factors in them, and they monitor them. There's a reason why the Rothschilds, for those guys that your history, the Rothschilds, they not only set up Israel, right? 1948, 49, after World War II, the Rothschilds also set up communist China. The Rothschilds are buddies with communist China because they identified their bloodlines over there. I like what DJ Lady Di says. 23andMe is not your friend. She's exactly right. Or this person is exactly right. I don't want to offend the person. So this person is exactly right. 23andMe is not. They're actually owned by BlackRock. That should tell you everything you need to know right there and then. All right. So let's answer this question. So is that why they mess with the RH factor in our blood? Do the rhesus monkeys have anything to do with that? Negative. The rhesus monkeys have nothing to do with that. So the RH factor comes from the humankind, not the mankind. All right. The Christed lines, the Magdalenian lines are all RH negative factor bloodlines. I am an RH negative factor bloodline. I'm Basque. I'm Basque and Irish. 80% of the Basque have an RH negative factor in their bloodline. Okay. They can trace their lineage all the way back to the Atlanteans itself. Oh, I'm just reading some of your guys' comments here. My apologies. So again, these Khazarian Ashkenazi Jews, right? They're honing in on this group of people, and they're not really Jews. We refer to them as crypto Jews, all right, because they've hijacked Israelites. Remember when Christ was here, Christ talked about the synagogue of Satan, was referring to the Sadducees and the Pharisees, who were these group of individuals, right? That practice not Torah, but the Talmud. So these Ashkenazi Jews are one of the most tightly controlled such populations on this planet. And they are very recently added in this experiment, especially they were designed to serve the satanic agenda of the Western world to keep this, thinking of a word, Occident, enslaved without our people even realizing it. You see, these Ashkenazis, they come from the Khazars, right? And these Khazars, these were very primitive, barbaric Eurasians, guys. The Khazars were ruthless people, ruthless murderers. But they were genetic. to these Draco reptilians. That's why. So the Khazars, being these primitive barbaric tribes, is pretty important, because this little known secret is that these Khazars were hijacked because they were interbred with these hyperdimensional beings, this group of Anunnakis. And they're actually called the Blue Bloods for a reason, because this group of Anunnaki had high amounts of copper in their body composition, which made their blood blue. Well, the Khazars, the Khazarians, and the Ashkenazis have high amounts of copper in their blood at the cellular level as well. That's where the term blue bloods actually originated and came from. All right, has nothing to do with the show on TV about New York City's finest. So these beings fathered the first generations of these hybrid Khazars. Again, not very many people in the truther community are even talking about this stuff. And they did this as a way of like spiritual fatherhood. That's why they did it. So this race was expected by this Anunnaki white Draco to actually have very certain problems with it, which they could actually fix by continued refinement, right? That's what they did, was genetic manipulation through refinement, which would actually require the culling of the weak from those who actually would go on to be the stronger of these Ashkenazi Khazarian hybrids, who would eventually become what we call these crypto Jews, these Ashkenazi Jews today. That's why I said they have recessive genes. And this is honestly, guys, where the Holocaust narrative was actually born. You see, these Jewish leaders, they actually offered up, this is one of the secrets of the Holocaust that has become more prevalent now, is that these Khazarian leaders, Khazarian Ashkenazi leaders, they offered up and they used their own people for their ends, for creating this obedient left brain, population of servants. And that's why they did this. That's why they created this Holocaust narrative. So in other words, is, remember when I broke down Saturday, is Ra-El, what it meant, right? So that word is, the serpent, doesn't want to come all the way back to God. He wants to keep being godlike, because he still doesn't trust God that banished him again. The big catch is the puppet masters. They cannot control the free-willed choices of souls who incarnate as humans, us, whether Ashkenazi Jews or anything else. They'd like to, but they can't, because they have to abide by cosmic laws. They can only affect likelihoods, outcomes. The human soul is always, always, always free to choose. The Khazar Ashkenazi forefathers, again, were the Jehovian Anunnaki great white Dracos. And they needed people with dark features so that they could actually hide their own light features as well, guys. This is why the very most powerful of the elite Jews have lighter features than most Ashkenazis. All you have to look at is like Benjamin Netanyahu. That's a great example. Debbie Wasserman Schultz here, right? Other white Dracos that had previously come through Germanic populations, including the royal families, the Windsors. When you study how the Windsors came about, you understand that the leader of Germany, leader of Russia, Tsar Nicholas, and then you had King, I think his name was Wilhelm, I can't remember what his name was, but Britain at that time, right before World War I took place, they were all cousins. They were all blue-blooded cousins. They all came from the same place. Here, I'm looking at this here.
thought we lost.
Do your teachings follow along with the information from the Voyager series by Asha Nadine? My new, well, some of my teachings do. Yes, I follow some of Asha Nadine's from Voyagers 2. I recommend people read that Voyagers 2 book. It's great. It actually tells you all about the cosmological history. It's amazing. I'm going to have to actually probably do this in a part 3 too.
Oh, I got to come hang out with you again?
Yeah, sorry, bro. I just love everybody's comments and stuff. These guys are dialed in.
The cream is rising, and they are gathering in the big coffee cup.
Oh, wow. So, tell us about, so you were in the recording studio a few days ago.
You talking to me?
I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you.
I was.
So how did that go?
Oh, went amazing. I wasn't ready for this. I'm totally unprepared for this, but it's my life. So yeah, we're doing a Christmas song, and I'll tell everyone which one it is. It's Silent Night, but it's a whole new take on Silent Night. And I actually got the memo after we recorded it. The horn player from the last two songs, from the song I wrote, "Thank You for Coming," and That's America, that my friend wrote. He's an amazing composer. He came back into my life because I picked that in my video game a billion years ago. He came back into my life a couple months back, and he's an accomplished musician, horn player, composer. And everyone's going to hear a Silent Night for the first time it's going to be the most different version you've ever heard of Silent Night, because God is working. And then after it was recorded, I was listening to it and I was starting to swirl around I was just going to release it. But then I said, man, I got to do a video for this too. It needs a music video. And I'll tell everyone here, you hear it here first. The music video is not going to be about the holidays. So when you think of the words to Silent Night, right, it's about the birth of Jesus Christ, Mary and Jesus. So why are we only listening to this song on the holidays? Around the holidays, this is a song we should be celebrating the birth of Christ and Mary every day. So my job, God laid it upon me to rewrite Silent Night in a different way that you can turn it on and listen to it every day. And when I'm doing shows, which are in the near future because I manifested it, when I'm doing a live show, it doesn't matter if it's July 7th and it's 90 degrees out in the arena, they're going to hear our version of Silent Night, because it's a song that should be listened to every day. And the music video will reflect the beauty of that. It will not tie it to the holidays in any way, shape, or form. You won't see Christmas lights, because that's satanic anyway. You won't see snow. You'll see just beautiful imagery of just the beauty of that song that was pigeonholed into the holidays. So it's God said it's my job to rewrite history of Silent Night, and we'll listen to it every day. So you heard it here first, so you know what was manifested, and you'll watch it unfold, because that's how powerful we are when we decide to change everything. Thank you for asking.
Yeah, well, speaking of Christmas lights decorations, so we had to go get a new appliance for one of our rental properties. And so we had to go to Lowe's, excuse me. And so they have all the holiday Christmas decoration extravaganza stuff all over the place.
Already.
So I thought, yeah, of course.
Isn't it sick? You see what they jam in your face? I mean, it's not even Thanksgiving yet, and the Christmas shit's up.
That stuff was out like right after the 4th of July almost, it seemed like.
Yeah,
but
Matrix is wild.
So I decided I was going to probably cheese off some people. So I did a little short promo, little video promo, and I had that in my backdrop telling everybody to tune in tonight into the show. And so I can't wait to see people go, "Oh, I told you, he likes Christmas. He's lying to us." Well, no, I don't support Christmas. I don't worship Christmas. I don't participate in Christmas. My family hasn't done that for a very, very long time because we know the truth. But I just did that just to, cause some controversy, I guess. Get people talking.
Whatever it takes, man.
Whatever it takes. So you guys are working on the video then, or you're just doing the final editing of the video then? When are you guys anticipating releasing it?
our team, the mixing engineer at the studio, we did That's America in this particular studio. It's in upstate New York in Germantown. Thank You for Coming was done at Dreamland Studios, where so many greats, and it's so crazy. Like this Dreamland Studios is literally 8 minutes from my house. I never knew it was there, and so many greats. Like the gold records are hanging up at Dreamland Studio, like in the big dining room area. You know, greats continue to record there. Paul McCartney and Natalie Merchant and all the greats, and that's the church that you see in Thank You for Coming. That's the recording studio that we were in the studio that day. So I incorporated the studio in that music video. This studio is across the river in Germantown, and the mixing engineer, plays guitar. His name is Jeremy. So he's on 12-string guitar. We have a beautiful musician, Harvey, who plays the keyboards. He has a high-end keyboard, and there's strings, violin and cello, and these beautiful sounds. It's amazing. The song, it gives me chills. And Kim, who's the composer I talk about, I call him Saint Nick because he literally, the good Saint Nick, not the evil one. And he composed the whole song, and there's horns in it, and then of course me on vocals. So they're mixing. I got a rough mix. I think I sent it to you right out of when we left Sunday night. We got like a TV mix right out of the board, so it has to be mixed. So they're mixing it. It should be done over the weekend, the final audio, and I'm working on the music video with somebody. Maybe I'll be able to tell you about that person next time. Right now,
Sure.
But we already have a rough draft of the music video, and we laid the song under it, and it's what I just said I'm going to accomplish with rewriting history. I already see it happening with the music video. It gave me chills. It has my hair standing up. So I can't wait to release this song. I think it's going to go bonkers. I really do. I'm really, because God is working. I mean, how can I fail? I gave it up to him. And he's not going to let me fail. He's not going to, let me, look like a knucklehead. He's going to make me shine, because I'm allowing him to do so, because I know where he is.
Yes. I love that, brother. I love
it's not
that.
ego. Not ego at all. Might sound like it. It's confidence, and it's confidence in the creator.
Yes. Absolutely. It's absolutely that. It's absolutely that.
Thank you for asking. I had to do a little clip of that later, whatever. Just some raw footage. I took out of the camera that we're using some stuff in the music video. So I sent you a little 28-second raw clip.
Yeah, I got it queued up, so we'll play that at the end here. Absolutely.
Cool. Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So let me jump back in here real quick. So these white Dracos, as I said, they also went through the dramatic lines, guys, as well. As I said, the royal families, right? As I said, these bloodlines, guys, they track themselves. They try and keep everything contained, compartmentalized in their bloodlines. And I think what happened was the beast, as we refer to him, they lost control of that part of the grand experiment. They lost control of that. So there was protection. Just so you guys know, this is where we get this understanding of a covenant that God placed over these Jews, if you will. There was protection that was granted in the grand experiment by the God of the Old Testament. All right. So souls. So this protection, so I can break this down for you. So the protection, or this covenant that was granted over these Khazarian, Ashkenazi, Zionist Jews, were those souls who would volunteer for this thing called dual hosting. They became the chosen ones for this protected role. But they're only chosen if they on this path, the path of the grand experiment of going back into the light of God's source, right? So now let's think about this. So where did we just hear this revealed truth about paths, right? Yeah. Remember what Saint Germain said about path A, or path B in soul group 4, right? Well, this path, it was going back to God's source, and it doesn't matter if, one calls the Lord God Yeshua or Jesus, as long as they're relating to the light of truth, which is absolute truth, no deception. Hence, this is why the old covenant of the Old Testament was replaced with the new covenant of the New Testament. Look in Hebrews of the New Testament. It shows you right there. It tells you all about it. So souls who choose to incarnate as HUE on earth do so with knowledge that they will forget once they, pass the veil before birth, because we all know that. Any of us that are enlightened, even those of us that are somewhat enlightened, they're still stuck in 3D stupidity right now, knows that there's a veil of forgetfulness that we all experience. This is a very common and well-accepted notion, right, among those interested in these metaphysical spirituality, that we pass through a veil of forgetfulness at birth. Our memories of our past lives, our spiritual missions, the nature of God, all that stuff becomes unavailable to us as we come here. And then on the other side, the soul is informed of its circumstances. It knows what it's getting itself into, and it agrees to it. It's part of your soul contract. Tenner talked about this earlier, right? So at birth, it forgets because it accepted the challenge of remembering by listening to God's source and obeying God's source. So the questions would be like, who among advanced souls would even choose this challenge? Who would choose this challenge, guys? To be born with like a handicap, this degree of left brain dominance with this DNA, who would come here being manipulated just to favor hosting reptilian spirits. I mean, that's a lot of baggage. Holy shit. These are people who are engineered to be verbally obedient, to resist spiritual inputs from the right brain, which is really what connects you to God. Their souls knew that, guys, before they even passed through the veil of 3D reality. That's why I guess they got to be confident souls committed to possibly loving and serving humanity, because they're creating a dichotomy there, right? And on the other side, they're over there exclaiming, yeah, human life, it's worth it. We can actually overcome all these handicaps they give us so that we can eagerly, volunteer to serve in this mission. That's what they're saying on the other side, right? The Ashkenazi are also souls who have been reptilians in past lives. More than likely, they served as servants in previous roles. As the Anunnaki made very distinct races of reptilians to serve in different purposes, guys. They must have been reptilians in past lives because it's a requirement. Remember, DNA codes for both the soul and the spirit, which is past lives and karma, and our bodies, right? So this is why the Anunnaki bloodlines are followed so closely and are preferred by the wealthiest elites who are actually, directly involved with these non-humans, because they know that the Ashkenazi forefathers were these hyperdimensional Anunnaki, who we call the fallen angelics. They also know that the Anunnaki blood further integrated into humanity, by way of these genetic programs that have been taking place for century after century to present day, right? And even some of these deep underground dumbs, these military programs, these facilities where human are being crossbred. That's another show I'm going to do with you guys, talking about the chimeras, the chimeras.
While you have a pause there, ML, can I address? I'm seeing questions in the chat, people asking specific things about certain times of can you explain, just certain things, whatever anyone's is asking questions having to do with history. It's just my recommendation. I wanted to know all of these things, but like what Emma was talking about, I believe is the most important thing. And you have to know where we came from, where we're going, how we're all just included in this, how amazing spiritual biblical this is. We're here this time for the last time in this form. And we don't know exact what the history is because it's all been rewritten because they didn't want us to know how powerful we are. So it's just a recommendation that don't worry so much about those little things. Why did they do this? Signals with left hand and right. Uh, Try to be at peace and understand what's going on right now and how powerful we are, right? And
Yeah.
and the time right now, right? Like, because if you're worried about all of that stuff, you're still like, you're just not worried, but if you're just thinking about all of these things, you're not maybe giving yourself the full energy that you need to just understand how powerful you are and that everything's going to be okay. Everything's going to end up just beautiful. And when the awakening and the ascension goes and whatnot, these answers will just come because I believe we'll just be able to tap in once our DNA raises, and you'll know everything. Like, you'll never even have to. It's like, how can we learn everything? You, I think you can just download it mentally. Like, as we open up and we go into this golden age, I believe we'll just have access to everything, like the Akashic records, and right, because in this lifetime we could never, if we had to learn it like traditionally, like through a book to read or watch
Mhm.
a show, we would need we would need 100 years. There's just not enough time to relearn like decades of stuff. So I believe, and ML, I believe will, and if it's coming out of my mouth, I know it's just coming from source because the truth is here. We'll just be able to tap in whenever we want to learn about something. We'll just like be able to get in and we'll just instantly download it. Does that make sense, ML?
Right. Yeah, well, that's 1,000% correct. Actually, as we ascend, so we're going through the stages of consciousness ascension right now, right? So we're ascending, going from 3D to 4D to 5D. So once consciously we do that, then we start physically going through ascension as well. Once we complete that part of the ascension process where our bodies actually start becoming more activated, the other strands in our DNA become more activated, we start getting more downloads of this information that's encoded in us. So you have an instant knowing of these truths itself. And that's why the separation that is happening in this great awakening that's taking place, those that are shifting 4D to 5D, that's why we're having division in relationships. It's because that absolute knowing is now starting to take place.
And one last thing, just going back a little bit. We know, most of us, and I haven't, which continues to draw the wedge between a lot of my friends and family. I haven't participated in the holidays last several years, like Thanksgiving and birthdays, because when you blow your candles out, it's like you're blowing your light out, right? And
Right.
Thanksgiving is an evil thing, and Christmas we know is blowing. So, but what you could do this, in my opinion, this year, it doesn't mean that I'm playing into it, to make peace with because this is about peace and unity and love, and I don't try to red pill anybody anymore about anything. I'm done because it's all there. When they're ready, I have a video for it on my Rumble channel. I have a video about the fake inauguration, Biden dead. There's a military operation going on. I have a video. So when people are ready and they ask me a question, I'll be like, oh, go to tennertalk.com, click on my Rumble channel, go up 4 years. There's a video about Ashley Babbitt not being dead. The insurrection is all bullshit. The fake inauguration, Afghanistan withdrawal is nonsense because we have world peace. You know what I mean? That was a giant inflatable, plane. They want you to believe people are on wings. I mean, this is what's going on when you have sheepnesia. You believe all of this nonsense. So there's a video there for all of that. So it's not my job to say anything anymore. So I'm going to participate in the holidays this year because I'm interested in unity and love and not having tension. God's going to take, from this point forward, God's going to take care of their education, and they're waking up. So I'm just letting everybody know. And I was hardcore. Like I'd be sitting alone on Christmas, and everyone thought like I was batshit crazy, like they still do. But this year, if I'm asked to go somewhere, I'm going to go celebrate for them. I'm going to go do that for them because it's still important to them, because they didn't get the memo yet. It doesn't mean I condone what goes on those holidays for millennia. I'm doing that for my friends and family. God knows what I know. I'm doing that for them. That's my highest recommendation, when you to start to unify and love your family. Don't red pill them anymore. God in the military operation is gonna handle this for you right now. So I'm just telling you that so you have peace. And I'm in such peace. I have I'm in such peace. So that's just my recommendation. Just my recommendation. Just Dr. Tenner's recommendation for everybody to have peace.
Well, I think let's do this, brother, because we're at an hour and a half, and I value everybody's time. I value your time as well. We can close this down for tonight, and we'll close with playing your video. We're gonna have to do another part here, because I'm just telling you, there's so much more. It's just
because it makes sense. It makes sense because more people are going to be coming along the way. So these shows you're talking about, like as events happen, like in the world, as all part of that plan, like when MSNBC like goes out of business, and then that's one less fake news channel. They're going to have to go to something else, and God is slowly bringing the flock home to where the truth is. So let that operation play out, everybody. Don't be so caught up in that B system out there. Start to live your life. Start to relax. What do you want to do? Have you not been taking care of a hobby? Do you want to go bowling, join a bowling league, something, because you're afraid to lose the house because you think you're going to miss intel. You're just in the house. You're waiting for intel. The intel is God's inside. He wins, and he wants you to claim your life back. Unity, peace, and love. Be at peace, because he wins. So it's time to shift the mindset. That's my piece in this with ML. He has all the thing, and then I give my little 2 cents. There's no notes here. The only notes I have is to tell people to go to my websites if you want to support me. Buy my merchandise, my songs. They're official. They're global. I'm a music artist now because I manifest it, because I'm living my life. I'm taking my life back. And I hope that for everyone else to be in peace and take your life back. Start relaxing and go try to make amends with your friends and family. They don't know what's coming. It's not our job anymore. We've done everything. They think we're insane, okay? But they know everything that we said, right? We've told them. They know everything. So now let God handle the rest of this and go back and just it's just my opinion. I'm telling you, because I'm living it, and I'm in such peace, and I'm claiming everything. My dreams are coming true. And I want that. I want that for you, and you can do it. You're a powerful creator. It's not a miracle. Everyone can do it. So that's my 2 cents. And there's thankyouforcoming.com. Thank you, sir. Through there, you can navigate to Tenor Talk, link up to the Rumble channel. You could buy the digital downloads. You could buy the CDs. I ask for your support that way. We don't charge for intel, like all those other knuckleheads. If you're following those knuckleheads that charge, subscriptions for intel, you got to delete all that crap. These people they're not on your side right now. I hope you guys figured that out.
Something, it was really, really interesting today. Carrie Cassidy, I like her because she's man, she's just a fireball.
She's a bulldozer.
She's ruthless, and I like her because of her tenacity. But she was calling out Mr. Trump for trying to basically bridge this gap with the mainstream media, because she's like, why are you doing this when the mainstream media has tried to destroy you over and over and over again? And she's saying, why don't you spend more time with the alternate media like us and make us the mainstream media from this point forward? Because we're the ones that helped you get your message out. We helped you get the truth out. All these things like that.
Did you see what he did?
Yeah. Yeah. He's going to allow influencers and so forth like that. Right. So we'll see what happens there. That'll be interesting to see if that really happens.
That'll happen. See, I break that down right away. In my opinion, when I see, I'm not like everyone's like Tenner. You're saying that I only see the little pieces that I need to see because I'm watching the military operation and God work. I'm not on there for intel. I just get wowed. It's like just watching a TV show when I tune into that, because it's all fake and it's a plan and it's an operation. So when actually somebody sent it to me, like I don't surf, like someone will text me something and they know, God knows like what to text me, or someone DM me something. So they sent me something about that Trump put on Truth Social, whatever, that he's going to open up the White House when he's in office, to like in the White House press. There's going to be like top podcasters and truthers and influencers, and it makes sense, because that's really, he's just telling you that that's all that's going to be left, because the fake news will be gone. And you remember when they said we are the news now? So all of the fake news that was the enemy of the state, that worked for, the Zionists and the whole plan to brainwash you, and Obama doing the executive order where you're allowed to perpetrate propaganda on the American citizens, and when you share that, the sheepnesia is so severe, they're like, oh, that's it, I fact checked that, and it's a fucking executive order, like right in the archives. This is how insane the brainwashing is. But they're all gone. You could already see, like, they're going out of business. They're people are retiring, people are getting fired, they're laying off staff. That's all part of the media. The media has been taken out years ago. The God and the military operation completely run the media. And you're like, how's that, Tenner? Why wouldn't they just tell us everything? It has to be a slow deprogramming. And you see that the news reports things. They would never have Trump on CNN, right, during the thing. We control it. It's a slow deprogramming. That's why you don't have to watch that stuff anymore, because the military controls the whole thing. Derek Johnson breaks this down with the Law of War manual. Trump's in office. He never left. He's commander-in-chief. We run everything. I don't want to get off track. These are the videos. These are the things I have. But we don't have to talk about these things anymore. You don't have to be caught up in that. You could start living your life again. This plan is in the final stages. Let God and let the military wake your friends and family up. Start loving them. Start unifying them. Start celebrating them, and you're going to want to come back together with them and talk to them, because you need to be talking to them as you watch their brains start to drip out of their ears in the coming days and weeks, and then they're going to start to have the questions. So if you're there and you're reuniting with them and you're loving them, it's going to be easier for them to start to ask you the questions, you see, and then you'll have the answers. This is our job right now. This is your job. I'm letting you know, God wants me to tell you, this is your job to reunite and show love, because if you're not talking to someone and you're going nuts, and Tenner told me about that last year, but we're not talking. I called him a piece of garbage and all this stuff. They're not going to reach out to me. But if I'm reuniting with all of my friends, and I don't talk about anything anymore. Talking about music, I'm talking about good stuff. So I'm opening up the door, because I need to be there to say, yeah, go to tennertalk.com, Rumble channel. You want to. Didn't you say something about a fake inauguration, Tenner? And Joe Biden got a funeral with 3 cannons? Yeah, I did. Go watch my video. And if you have any questions, send me a text, and we'll meet for a cup of coffee or something, and we'll have a conversation. Be happy to tell you about it. Yeah, because I love you. See how that works?
There we go. Yep. All right. Well, everybody, we're going to wind it down here. We're going to close with a little sneak preview of Tenner's newest song and video that's going to be coming out here shortly. So thank you, everybody,
Guys,
for tuning in.
This is just raw, like when you're in the studio, raw. You might not even hear the music. It's the process. For those that don't know, there's no effects on the vocal. It's me hearing the music, so you could just hear the raw. You see the process. I'm letting you in. See, music artists won't do this in the past. They'll only show you the finished product, so you don't hear their raw voice. But the truth is coming. So why would I not show you just something raw in its beginning stages? Every music artist has to do this. It's raw vocals, and then it get mixed. Some get mixed the shit out of it to make them sound good. So I'm just sharing a 30-second piece of the day of rewriting the history of Silent Night. So and God had me send it to ML, and so I'm just bringing into the world of this stuff. This is the fun stuff. This is the stuff that we should be sharing, opening up, and just the good, the bad, and the ugly, right? no judgment. We just share with each other. So I'm sharing 30 seconds, and hopefully next week you'll get to see the whole thing. I had so much fun tonight, ML. Grateful again that we reconnected, but God wanted it, and what God wants, He has. And it's so amazing to be with the small group right now, but I believe it will grow, because we may not be in the White House. I have zero interest in going to the White House. I want to go to the White House to perform. So ML might be in the White House, ripping up and giving the truth and all of that stuff, and he'll come over, and then there'll be a concert in the Rose Garden, because I'll be performing my songs at the White House in Mar-a-Lago and all over the place. You heard it here first. I love you, brother. Thanks so much.
Love you too. Thank you so much. Thank you,
Good night,
everybody.
everybody.
Go.
Silent night, holy night,